the spiritual part of a person that exists even after the person dies. You are a good soul. The soul has left the body. But where does the soul go? Does it exist even after you're dead? So many spiritual gurus have so many explanations to the soul. What is the soul? Where does it go? And let me just say, I'm so confused right now. So let me talk to you, which is air, about what is the soul exactly. Too many theories going on, but before that, Sid K Breathes AiR. Everybody, welcome to our show. You know, Atman and Ravi. Air. Whenever I'm confused or I have a lot of dilemmas, I come to you.
Sure, welcome.
So let's start from the basics. What is the soul?
So to understand soul, it's very easy if you look at the word S-O-U-L. S-O-U-L means it's a spark of unique life. So this is what a soul is. So in you, in me, we have got a power. Do you have a battery inside you?
Nope.
A UPS, a cord going into you? So
Not that I know.
Where does the power come from? The power that gives you power to walk, to talk, to sing, to do anything is the power of the soul. Some people call it Atma, some people call it spirit, some people call it root. Names may be different. But the soul, S-O-U-L, we are calling it the soul, is a spark of unique life. It is what gives you energy. It is what gives me power. Each of us has a spark of unique life, a soul.
Okay, now, here begins all my confusing questions. You're there to help me, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There is no confusion. We will get to the conclusion.
Okay. So I've noted it down. A spiritual guru said, okay, a very renowned spiritual guru, soul needs compassion and love for its survival. Is that true?
Soul needs compassion and love for its survival. The soul doesn't need anything. The soul comes from Sip, the supreme immortal power we call God. The soul goes back to Sip. What is the need of soul? Doesn't need compassion. Where is the question? The spiritual gurus confuse us. The soul does not need compassion. The soul does not need love. The soul is the source of love. When there is a soul, you can love. Does a dead body love? Can't love because the soul is missing. The soul, the life is missing. The soul is missing. To say that the soul needs compassion and love is to confuse the soul with the body, mind, ego, which we appear to be. And a lot of people are getting confused with a lot of different people saying a lot of things about the soul. Have you heard some people say the soul will hover around a dead body's, dead person's house for 3 days, 13 days. So what do you do?
And we've seen it in so many feature films, yeah? I want to know about this. So, is that true?
It is true only for the pandits and the pujaris who need to collect money to do the puja. Otherwise, they say, "Tumhare atma ko shanti nahi milegi."
You feel it's a money-making racket?
It's just, see, the soul is the moment a person is gone, the soul merges with the Supreme. The soul is not like people say, bhoot hai, pret hai, it's a spirit will go and then the spirit or the soul will go around here and there, and they show you in these horror movies and Hindi movies, they show you so many horror movies.
In fact, they also say that supposing your desires that haven't been fulfilled during your life, if that's not been fulfilled, then your soul stays around and hovers around.
This is a complete myth. A complete myth that makes us live with so much misery and suffering. We must realize, best way to understand is a human being is like a computer. The computer needs hardware. Can the hardware work without software? Can the software work without the hardware?
Nope.
So you need, the human being is like a human computer. You need the hardware, which is the body. You need the software, which is the mind. Correct? So the computer can work?
Yes.
Hardware and software? Yes?
Yeah.
No!
What are you saying?
How can the computer work with hardware and software if there's no power supply? So what do you need for a computer to work? You need hardware, software, and power supply. The human being has the body, the mind, and the soul.
The soul is the power supply.
Soul is the power supply. And this power supply is birthless, is deathless. But people are confused. We've written a book called Soul, S-O-U-L, Spark of Unique Life. And what is the truth of the soul? This is most important. So people who are confused about the soul and are confusing others about the soul, a big problem, because people are so confused.
Another spiritual guru has said that when the soul departs from the body, normally it goes through the eyes, the mouth, the ears, anal regions, and toes. But for yogis, the soul leaves through the top of the head. What's your take on that?
Yeah, because it's very easy to make people think that the soul leaves from the mouth, because you say, Dekho, soul is left from the mouth, or nose, ears. But how does it leave from the top of the head? You should think how the soul can leave from the top of the head. It's sad if we think that the soul can leave from various ugly parts of the body. The soul is in essence in every cell of the body. There are 35 billion cells, trillion cells. There are 35 trillion cells in the body. And the soul is giving power to every cell. In the finger, the eye, the ear, the toe. There is a soul power in the entire body. How the soul lives, where the soul lives, is beyond human comprehension. It is beyond definition and understanding. In that moment of death, the soul departs. But you cannot say that the soul of 35 trillion cells leaves to... No. This is a misunderstanding, and people should be very cautious. In fact, the soul is everywhere. Although the energy of the soul is inside us, the soul energy is also outside us. The soul gives us power. Now, for example, inside you, there is air. There is air. Everywhere in your body there is air. But outside you also there is air. Air is everywhere. The soul inside you becomes your spark of unique life. But the moment it leaves, just like an air in a balloon, if you burst the air in the balloon, where does the air go?
In thin air.
It merges with the air that is everywhere.
Yeah.
So does the soul. The soul just leaves the body. But how? It doesn't. The soul is not a tangible product that leaves through the nose, through the ears. The soul just leaves the body, not through anything. And whether it's a yogi or a bhogi, the soul leaves from the same place.
So can you describe the process of how the soul leaves the body when one dies?
Nobody can describe that process. It is just like when the soul arrives. Can you tell me how does the soul arrive in the body? Do you know? It's quite interesting. A sperm and an egg fertilize. What causes the fertilization? It is the arrival of the soul. The question comes, where does the soul come from? Does the soul come from a rocket, from a ship, from a spacecraft? No. The soul energy is everywhere. People are so confused because the energy of the father and the energy of the mother are in the two cells. But when these two merge and become a zygote, the first cell of our existence, a new soul gives birth. Can we define where it comes from? We can't. It appears. The soul appears and the soul disappears. This is the best way to understand.
So we have a lot of questions appearing from the audience. All right, so who's going to be asking the first question on soully matters? Yes, sir.
Hi, sir. What is the soul made up of?
What is the soul made up of? It's just like me asking you, what is electricity made up of? Now you can give some scientific answer of electrons and this, that, but electricity is power, and so is the soul. The soul is the power of life. It is energy. Energy is not made up of. Energy is power, and this power cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to another. This is what the scientific law of thermodynamics says. The law of energy is this. Therefore, the energy in us is birthless and deathless. It is not made of anything. It is the power. Today I am talking. If my soul leaves my body, I can't talk. The power is gone. If any gadget, if you have a TV, you have a mobile phone, you're using your mobile phone, the battery is dead. The power is gone. You cannot do anything about it. The soul is the life power.
I want to know, and I've heard a lot of myths, this is one of those, that our new birth is based on the desires of our last birth and what we were focusing on during the time of death. Is that true?
No. See, everything culminates into your karma. So what you were thinking, just because you were thinking that you will be a buffalo, it doesn't mean that you will be born as a buffalo. Or just because you're thinking that you will attain God, doesn't mean you will attain God. So it's very interesting. They say if you go to Banaras or Kashi, and there's one Kashi Labh Bhavan, if you go there and if you die there, straight from there you will go to heaven. And a lot of people are waiting. I have a waiting list of 7 years, of 10 years to die in that Bhavan. So these are lies. What you will be born will depend on your accumulated karma. And the karma does not belong to the soul. Another confusion is people think the soul is reborn. You must have heard of the transmigration of the soul. Oh, it's in so many scriptures. But the transmigration of the soul does not mean that the soul will carry karma and the soul will be reborn. This is a gross misunderstanding. Whatever we do, the body will die. Siddharth, Kannan, Sid K, this body, this story will be over. Sid K will not come again. Sid K cannot be born again. But you who are wearing the costume of Sid K, who is appearing as Sid K, you will carry your karma and you will come back when a new soul gives you life. If you have karma, and if you are liberated from karma, which means that you realize I am not the body, mind, ego, you're enlightened, then there is no rebirth.
Okay, so we were talking about this, like how people choose a place at the last minutes of their life, or last few hours of their life. Some people also have people chanting shlokas when they're about to pass away, right? Shlokas are so they believe that will lead to reaching heaven. So what should one focus on in their last few moments of existence to attain eternal peace or salvation?
Do we know when is the last few moments? Simple question. It may appear that you're going to die and somebody may last for years together. Of course, when there is a moment where you feel doctors give up hope or a person is looking like they're on the deathbed and they are going to go. But if all through your life you are a gunda, you're a dacoit, and in the end of your year you say, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Om Namah Shivaya, Om, you keep on chanting, bro. That means that you will reach heaven. And this whole concept, where is heaven? And who will reach heaven? So the entire gamut of mythology is a bunch of lies. We believe the lies that God lives in the skies. Heaven and hell are right here on earth, and we receive them when we take rebirth. So therefore, let us get the picture straight. The body will die. The mind and ego will carry its karma and come back to earth. And a new soul, a spark of unique life, just gives it life. Life from birth to death.
All right, so we've got Vibhushan Sinha from Rohtak saying, a lot of rituals AiR are done for the peace of the departed soul. Do you think that works? And what happens when a departed soul doesn't get the peace? Do they turn into evil spirits or ghosts? And where do they remain because they haven't found the final answer or the final destination.
No, these are all huge confusions and huge fairy tales that, you have to pray for the departed soul. Why do you have to pray for God? Soul is nothing but God. Even the Bible will tell you that the kingdom of God is within, that God lives in the temple of your heart. Luke 17, Corinthians 3:16. The scriptures clearly say that the Holy Spirit or the soul is God. Now we want to pray for the departed soul. There is no sense. In fact, it has just become very natural, instinctive way of saying, oh, R.I.P., rest in peace. When the poor person is going to become pieces, we are going to bury the person or burn, because it's a lot of ignorance. And then we say, if you don't perform those pujas for the departed soul, then it will become a ghost, and then it will go here and there. We are completely misunderstanding the simplicity that the soul is God, energy, that spark that is in you and me. The soul doesn't need to reach a destination. The soul is omnipresent, just like the divine power that is omnipresent. We have to get our facts straight. We have to eliminate ignorance if we want to be clear about these things.
So my friends in the audience, people who are confused, maybe want to do a fact check, anything that's in their mind that's disturbing them or want to know, please shoot your questions to air now.
Hi, I'm Sid. So my question is regarding few minutes before AiR have told there is no ghost. So I have seen few videos in YouTube where the ghost pictures have been captured. So can I know what is this exactly?
Not only have people spoken about ghosts, but people have picturized ghosts. And they will show you cloth fluttering, and in that, ooh, and they give you that eerie feeling, and you believe, Abhivo, and the door, when the door opens, automatically somebody is entering your room, and you start thinking, where is the go bachao? This ghost is going to. There's so much nonsense. People are scared. When somebody dies, people are actually scared because in YouTube and in movies they show you, this is the ghost. It's such a lie. And because of this, we lose our peace of mind. Don't believe in all these things. What they're showing you, the ghost, is not ghost. It is just special effects of Bollywood and YouTube and television. It is not real.
There is another myth. The god of death, Yamaraj. He comes and he takes your soul away.
Have you seen the Amraj, except in the movies?
Where does he take it away? Does that happen?
There's a god of death called Yamraj. Has become a big hero in our life, right? Because Yamraj, Yamdut Taiga, and they show him with horns, and he comes in an ugly black bull, and they make it look so deadly. But there is no Yamraj. There is no god of death. In that, let's ask yourself the question, how many gods? Where are the gods? Then there should be a war in the heavens if there are so many gods. These lies have been so beautifully woven together. A god of birth and a god of death and heaven and hell. And so these lies are beautifully woven like a mala, like a chain. And we believe the mythology. All this is lies. There is one power called Sip, the supreme immortal power. This power has created universal laws. The whole universe is unfolding as per these laws. The law of karma, the law of gravity, the law of cycles which makes the earth go round and round. There is no God ghumaying the earth to go round and round. No, it's gravity. It's a law of rotation. So we should take this out of our head.
Should we take this thought also out of our head, which Ayush Khanna has written to us? He's from Srinagar and he says, Dear AiR, is it true that if you've got good karmas and you spend time in worshipping God, then you have a painless death and you take rebirth at a good place?
My dear Mr. Khanna, if you have got good karma, you will be definitely taking rebirth in a good place. Because the seed you plant decides the fruit on the tree, the deed you plant or the karma will decide your destiny in this life as well as in future life. But to say that you will have a painless death is a myth. Because as long as we are alive as a body, mind, and ego, we will experience what we call the triple suffering of pain of the body, misery of the mind, and agony of the ego. Anger, hate, revenge, fear, worry. All these aches and pains will come. But when you realize, Mr. Khanna, that you are the divine soul, the spark of unique life, the soul doesn't have any pain. The soul is painless. That is the reason we need to get this enlightenment, this realization that we are the soul.
Okay, I've heard this number of times. I'm sure my friends in the audience have also heard this so many times. I've had a near-death experience. What does that mean? Does that mean you're about to die, the soul leaves the body and then comes back again? What does that mean?
This is the confusion that people call. There's something called death, but near-death experience. And then in the near-death experience, I went in a tunnel, and in that tunnel I went, and then I met some God, and God is like a light. And then I met my grandfather and grandmother in that near-death, and there was so much love. All very good for a novel. All very good for a best-selling movie and a good storybook. But understand, there is nothing like near-death experience. A near-death experience is nothing but the imagination of the mind. Just like a dream. The moment you're dead, you're dead. There is no near-death experience. And the moment there is death, then there is no experience. Be clear about it. This near-death experience is a beautiful product to sell to people who say, and people want this kind of imagination. It's a good masala, but it's not true.
So does anyone else want some answers, clarity to their questions? Some people who've heard masala, but don't want masala in their lives. We got a gentleman there. Hello, sir.
Good evening, Ed. I have a question for you. Where did the soul first came from and where was it before?
So people are confused. Where the soul came from, where was it before, where it will go after death, where it will remain. You know, it's very funny, but billions of people in the world believe, I don't know if you know this, that after we die, all our souls will be parked in a parking lot kind of place. And then all the souls will wait for that final day, and then the judgment will be passed. But which soul? What soul? I know the meaning of this soul that can be a blow in my shoe. But how can all the souls come from some place and go to some place? We have misunderstood the soul. As long as we understand the soul is energy, energy flows. It doesn't come and goes. Don't think of this energy. The energy gives you life from birth to death. But it's not like an aircraft that flies from New Delhi to New York. It's not like a product. It's not some tangible thing that comes from a place and then goes to a place. Understand that the soul is everywhere. The power of the soul is SIP, Supreme Immortal Power. So we have to be clear that this soul power is everywhere.
Now, I spoke to you about near-death experience. Let's get into a non-death context. Okay? Can the soul leave the body when you're in a meditative state or you're going through a profound spiritual experience? Does that happen?
What is the soul? The soul is what gives you life. The moment the soul departs from a life, there's death. In the world today, have you found that people can inject back life to a creature? Man or beast, can we put back life? How can you? You may be the king, you may be the prime minister, the president of any country, you may be the richest man in the world. But the moment the soul has gone, the soul cannot re-enter. Let us have the concept very clear. When does the soul enter the body? Only at one time. And that time is when two cells fertilize to become one. Is this clear?
That clear.
That is only the one time. It's called conception, fertilization, and the real birth date. Our real birthday is when two cells become one. Soul has entered. Nobody knows when. It enters, then we come to know the zygote is formed. And when the moment the soul leaves a body, there's no way for that soul to come back into the body. These are sometimes in stories to explain something. There are some kathas and some fairy tales or some mythological stories to make people understand a concept that the soul leaves. Some people, when somebody tells me, my guru is in samadhi from 8 years. My guru is in samadhi from 8 years and the body is kept and the soul is gone and the soul will come back after 8 years. They're still waiting. You believe that after 8 years the guru will come back alive? So these are all misunderstandings that causes all these problems. The moment the soul leaves, the soul cannot come back. The moment the soul leaves, there's death. Simple as that.
So does a good soul go to heaven and does a bad soul go to hell?
Do you have, does a good electricity give light to bulb and bad electricity does not give light to the bulb? No, there is no good electricity and bad electricity. The bulb may be working, light will come. The bulb is not working, if it's fused, the light. So there are no good souls and bad souls. There is only soul, spark of unique life. And this soul does not go to heaven and hell. Because heaven and hell are just a fiction of our imagination.
Now, different religions have different last rites. For example, the Hindus and Sikhs burn the body, the Muslims and Christians bury the body. Does that actually make a difference to the soul?
The soul is already left. What you are burying is the body, is what we call 5 elements, Panch Tattva. The body is made up of the 5 elements of earth, water, air, fire, and space. The body is a leftover. That's why they call it the mortal remains. Don't they call it the mortal remains? The mortal remains is there. You know in Egypt earlier what they used to do? You know
What?
They must mummify it.
Yeah, mummy.
They used to make mummies and they used to think that after 100 years or after 200 years, they will come back alive. That's why there are so many mummies, even now in the pyramids. But man got to understand, come on, this is nonsense. So man decided to burn the body or to bury the body because the soul has left. And man uses intelligence to realize it may be my father or my mother. So it may be my father or it may be my mother. But I have to burn the body or bury the body because my father or mother has departed, has left. Don't we say they passed away? My mother or father passed away. Only the body is here. Therefore, whether you burn the body or you bury the body, whether you are any religion, you need to just destroy the body because you have no other option.
All my confusions have gone into thin air.
Like the soul.
Like the soul. But air, really, there were so many myths, so many confusing statements, so many statements from other spiritual gurus which I asked you point blank and you clarified. This was truly a soul-touching experience. But air's take on the soul.
My dear friends, people will tell you many things about the soul. They will even show you books, thick books, which talk of transmigration of the soul. And they make you believe that the soul will take rebirth and the soul will be reborn. Make it simple. The simple truth, soul, S-O-U-L, spark of unique life. We all have a soul. If we are alive, we have a soul. The moment the soul departs, there is no breath, there is death. Remember this, the soul comes from Sip, the supreme immortal power we call God. The soul goes back to Sip. Nothing else. Don't break your head on anything else apart from this. And your final word is this: you are not this body that will die. You are not the mind you cannot find. You are not the ego that says I. It's a lie. You are the soul. You don't have a soul. You are the soul. If you realize this, that you are the soul, you achieve your goal. You get mukti, moksha, salvation. You become one with the Supreme.
Yes, we are one with the audience as well. We are one with all the people watching us online. Remember, this is your show, for the people, by the people. Send me the topics you'd like Air and us to talk about on my Instagram handle, which is here. Follow Air on his Instagram and YouTube as well, because he's so active there. Because the motto of this show is, we want to make a difference to people's lives. And that's it. Clarifications, ambiguities, confusions, or even throwing thought-provoking questions to us, we will answer them to the best of our ability, and most importantly, with the soul being intact at the right place. I am Siddharth Kannan, Sid K Breathes AiR, Siddharth Kannan Conversation with Air on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for being a great audience. Bye-bye.